Hi everyone, this is Laurie from Creative Chaos, and today we're going to make another 4-inch hoop wire tree, and this is made with, it looks like turquoise, but it's called Wagnerite. And so we just got to straighten out our wire a little bit and then pull out my ruler. And I'm going to cut these at 16 inches. I wish now that I had done more like 18 because it didn't give me quite as much wiggle room as I had hoped it would. But, it is what it is. And so we just went with 16 inches, and I'm going to be cutting out 16 of these. I won't make you watch me cut out 16 of these because I'm very nice. So we're just going to cut out a few. This wire is one that I picked up at Michael's. So is the stone. They had their 60% off strung beads about 2 months ago, and I picked up a whole bunch at the same time, and I'm still winding my way through them. So, like I said, this is Wagnerite, and it's a blue stone. It's very, very pretty. And let's see. We're going to count them out. I think I've got 5 so far. And so I need 11 more because I'm good at math. Look at me go. All right. Now we've got all our wire cut out. I'm just going to kind of push them and pull them so that they're all even. Pull up the couple I had, tag along the ends, and then I'm just going to bend it back and forth. Now I've got all of this done at 2 times speed, so it's going a little faster than I did it in actual person. But bending it back and forth straightens out the wire a little bit so that it's not quite as in a circle, and it makes it easier to play with. Now, first we're going to bend these wires down, realize we made a mistake, and then fix our mistake because we are good at this. And if you haven't watched any of these tutorials before, I have done other ones that I do at regular speed so that you can see it a little easier. But what I'm doing is I am bending the wire in half, putting it around the hoop, and then I take the back wire I pull up towards the front, and then the front wire I pull towards the back to the left, and then I pull it through the hoop. And then everything I kind of push together so that the wires really do come together in the end. We're just going to do one more. So see, I pull the right one to the front and the left one to the back, and then pull it through. And then we'll just finish doing the rest of them. Now, there are the wires that are on the top. I am separating from the wires that are on the bottom. And I'm not going to do anything fancy with the trunk this time. I really just want a basic trunk because this wire was tougher to kind of bend and manipulate. So I'm putting my thumb where I kind of want the wires to start coming together, and then I just start twisting. And I want it to come until it's about halfway up the hoop, so about 2 inches. And then I take and I separate the wires from here on out. Now, because they are doubled up, the 16 wires become 32. So I've got 16 on each side. So I'm going to take 8 and 8, which is half of the 16, and I'm going to twist those a few times. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And then my computer's going to sound like it's going to start to take off because that's what it likes to do. Every time I edit, I don't know why that is. The computer just sounds like it's going to take off. Sorry, I go below screen. Every single time I thought I was within recording range, I ended up off screen. So I apologize for that. So I'm just kind of taking a look, seeing what it's like, and then I'm going to start on those 8, and I'm going to separate those into 4 and 4, and then I'm going to take and twist those a few times. And we're going to do that on all 4 of our branches. So I've got 2 of them done, and now we're going to come over and do the 2 on the right hand side. So we're just separating 4 wires and 4 wires. Except I made a mistake in one of these, and I ended up doing 3 and 4. So, and then one of them got 5 and 4. So, but it all equals out in the end, so it's okay. Try to get them as equal as possible and as smooth as possible. And then this is where I was looking over it, trying to decide which side of the trunk I liked more, because I could have pulled the wires through if I liked the other side more. And then I ended up taking my silicone covered pliers and just twisting the trunk a little bit more to make it just a tiny bit more interesting. So now I am still playing with the wires, but we are going to get ready to start. So you pull your stones close, pick a wire, and start threading them on. Now when I do these trees, I usually like to do the smaller stones at the bottom closest to the trunk, just because there's not a lot of wiggle room down there. But in this case, I had a whole bunch of big stones, and so they just all ended up big on this first couple. And then we take the end of our wire, once it's reached the hoop, we take the end of our wire and we wrap it around 3 times. The first just kind of places it, the second gets it there firmly, but the third really does make it stay in place. Now you saw there, you would have seen there that I just trimmed off one of the wires. It ended up really short, and I knew that it wasn't going to fit with getting the other two wires with the stones in place, and that's okay to do. Well, you'll actually see me, I do 16 wires in the first place to make a good trunk, but I don't use every single wire in the branches. I will frequently cut so that there are so I have 4 wires in every bunch, in every branch, but I may only use 3 of them to form the branches. I hope that makes sense. So now we're going to take and we're just going to put that in there, wind that around 3 times. And then we can move on to the next one. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to separate this into 2 and 2, and I'm going to wind it, I'm going to twist it a little bit just because I need it to move away from the branches that we just put in and give it room to move upward. So that's what I did. So now we're going to thread the stones onto this wire. I've been thinking a lot lately about, I've been feeling like that imposter syndrome. I was just talking to my daughter about it, where I see other people and I think I'm doing good, but then I see somebody else who's been doing this for years and years, and all I can think to myself is, I am never going to be that good. Why am I even posting videos on how to do this when somebody else can do it so much better than I can? And I have to stop myself from doing that every once in a while, because the truth is, I am a beginner and I may never be a master at anything that I do, but I'm okay with that because my interests are so varied and are so wide that I need to give myself that chance to just explore and be a beginner and let you be a beginner with me, because maybe you don't know what you're doing either, and the things that I am trying to do, you may make the same mistakes that I do, and that's okay. I want you to be able to see that it's okay to make mistakes on things. It's okay to not be brilliant at it the first time around, and then celebrate the times that you do feel like you're pretty brilliant at it the first time around, or maybe the second time around. We have this cultural saying at work, that's called celebrate, and it's celebrating not only the work that we do, but the things that we accomplish. And my boss was talking about how sometimes the things that we accomplish in a day is tiny, and it may seem like it's insignificant, but the truth is every teeny little accomplishment is something to celebrate. Now, I do a lot of steaming of some clothes. Even though I work at a bookstore, I am in charge of a certain clothing area, and I'm the only one that does the steaming. And when I've got 40 items to steam and I can only get 2 done, I'm looking at that pile of things that still needs to be done, and I feel like this is ridiculous. I didn't get anything done today, and I've had to turn my way of thinking around to be like, no, you know what? Maybe I didn't get those 40 things done, but in a very busy, very customer service oriented day, I was able to get 2 things steamed, and I need to celebrate that. And so I think about these wire trees that I've been doing the last little while, and all the tutorials that I've been trying to put forward so that somebody else can learn from my mistakes and my oopses and my imperfect way of doing things. And maybe there's somebody out there who just doesn't feel like, maybe feels like I do, where it's tiny and you're just beginning, but celebrate the tiny things. Celebrate the teeny tiny trees that you're finally able to put together, and then watch yourself and watch what happens in a year and see what you can do in a year's time. And I look at what I used to do as of 2 years ago, the films that I used to make, and I have grown so much since then. Maybe not in my abilities, but in my confidence level. And I never thought that I would be able to come up with videos for 2 years on an almost weekly basis. And yet here I am. And the video quality still isn't any better, but like I said, my confidence level is. And so I've been trying to keep that imposter syndrome away and just celebrate what I can do. And so I hope that you'll do the same. So we've gotten to almost halfway through the tree. I always look in my cup and I always fear that I don't have enough stones, and yet I always wind up having a little bit left over after every single tree I do. So don't freak out if you feel like the stones, you're not going to have enough stones. You will, I promise. Alright, so we're going to take and wrap that 3 times around. And then we're going to do 1 more. And I hope you notice that I still trimmed off quite a few little wires here and there. And I've twisted up so that the branches, I've twisted the branches up so that they are a little bit closer to the hoop. For some reason around the sides it seems like it hits differently than it does up towards the top. So anyways, we have hit the halfway mark, and I am going to do the same thing off camera for the rest of the tree. Oh, just kidding, we haven't hit the halfway mark. I still have 2 more branches to do. Well, in the meantime, how are you all doing? I hope that you're doing well. My husband came through his last surgery just beautifully. He had a little bit of a tricky recovery, but this one was a little bit harder than he's had in the past. But he's come through it. He's actually back at work, and he's a happy little camper. So thank you all for those that asked about how he was doing. Okay, so I trimmed off one of those branches, one of those wires, but we are going to finish this one off. Pull it through 3 times. All right. Now that gets us to the halfway point, and we're going to just finish that around. Now, on the back, we have all of these hanging wires. So I'm just going to go through. I always use my cup when I'm done with everything, and I put my wires in there. You want to cut it so it's as flush as possible with the back of your 4-inch hoop. And then what we're going to do, and it might be hard, I don't know if I kept it in camera or not, but we're going to take our needle nose pliers, and we're going to put them around and kind of tuck in that little end that you just trimmed off, as well as pulling it a little bit to tighten up those wires. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to do that on every single one of those branches that we put on there. Isn't that Wagnerite just beautiful? It really does look like turquoise, and I love turquoise. So this one might have to live at my house or my daughter's house. I haven't decided if I'm going to give it to her yet. Depends on how badly I want it. But I think she loves turquoise too, so I think I might give it to her. Okay, now I'm going to take out 2 not hoops, what are they called? Jump rings, thank you. And these are big ones. I don't remember, I know I bought them at Michael's, but it's been so many years ago, I don't know how big they are. But they are on the bigger side, and I like that so that they fit around. Not only do they fit around the 4-inch hoop, but they, on the top one that I wind up doing, it's big enough that you can use it as a hanger as well. So I'm opening one up to put on the hoop, as well as the chain. I cut the chain to 20 links long, and now we're just going to put our last one on there, and then I'm going to take and just manipulate the wire a little bit, unless I already did that. I can't remember. I was too busy being silly. So yeah, I think we're just going to manipulate the wire a little bit. In any case, we're about done. So I hope that you all have had a great day. I hope that you all make it a great week, and we will see you next week. All right, everybody, have a good one. Bye-bye.